Hello, I'm Mari, aka Taco Salad, and I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, and today I'm going to talk to you about all the shoes and socks and mittens and gloves and things that I use on my hands and my feet. Quick announcement, if you're watching the vlogs and you don't want to know what happens later on, if you don't know if I finished or not and you don't want to know, then probably don't watch this video because I'll probably have some spoilers in it. So I already did a video about all the clothes I wore, so if you want to see that, check that out. First off, shoes. I used Ultra Olympus. These are the pair that I finished with, and they're a little bit falling apart by now, but they held up really well. I overall really liked them. I have super flat feet. They're very narrow and long, and I have a bunion on one foot. So those are all things to put into consideration. Yeah, it's very sexy feet, let me tell you. So I was just like, how am I gonna get shoes that meet all of these needs? And turns out the Ultra Olympus was perfect. One thing I did do beforehand was I got custom insoles. So they look kind of like they're falling apart now because they are a little bit. Since I do have flat feet, I've had knee issues in the past because my feet tend to overpronate. So I made sure to get these really good insoles beforehand. They were really good. They held up really well. I like them a lot. They're kind of expensive, but to me it was 100% worth it. Other people out there use those super feet insoles or a similar insole, and the people I know that use those had to get a few of those over the trip because they just wore out. And these didn't wear out. I could use them the whole time, so for that alone, and they're custom for me, so I think that helped overall with my whole foot system. Anyway, yeah, the shoes were good. They have kind of a lot of padding as opposed to like the Ultra Lone Peaks, which don't really have any padding at all. So if you're someone who also overpronates, I think these are really good because there's just more support. So for shoes, you really want to make sure you have the right size and the right fit, and this is something that I recommend trying out beforehand. I think I only tried these for like a week before I went, but I did try on a lot of shoes for a while. Before, like, I would go to stores and try some on, and I knew a lot of shoes didn't work, and these ones seemed to be just working fine right away. My foot is about a size 10.5 women's in US sizing. For running shoes, I usually wear a size 11 because I like having them a little bit bigger. And then since I heard that your feet grow up to one size when you're hiking the PCT, I ordered these in size 12. So yeah, that's a women's size 12, which is giant. As you can see, this shoe is like bigger than my head. But anyway, it worked out really well. Like I had like definitely a lot of room in the toes, but I don't like when you're walking downhill and your toes hit the top, so I had enough room in these that never happened, which was really good. I don't know, so it worked for me to just start the trail with a size bigger than usual. It's really up to you what you think is going to work for your feet. They lasted really well. I had heard that you should switch out shoes, any shoe that you wear, about every 500 miles because the padding just gets compressed. Even if they look fine, yeah, the padding will be compressed. And for me, since I do already have some foot problems, I just wanted to make sure I did that so I didn't get any more problems. So I switched them out maybe about every 550 miles or so. And I never had any problems. They worked. I don't know, it worked well for me. But what I really like about Ultra shoes is the wide toe box. So there's enough room for all your little toesies and my bunion. So cute. I use the Injinji socks. These are the socks that have all the little rooms for all your toes. And I felt like just with the wide toe box and then having my toes all separate, like they could just really grip the ground, and like they had enough room to separate. And I tried them out before I went on the hike and I enjoyed them. The downfall of these is that they do wear out really quickly. You get holes really easily. I had to go through a lot of pairs of these. I don't know how many, but I had to switch them out more often than my shoes. But to me, it was worth it because I liked them. I only got one blister for the entire trail, and that was in Northern California when we were just walking like flat Hat Creek Rim. Oof. One blister for the whole time I feel like is pretty good. So this system worked so well for me. I also use Dirty Girl gaiters that I don't have anymore, but a lot of people wear those. I like these shoes because they have a little place for the gaiters and they have Velcro. So that's what I used unless we were walking through a lot of snow or if it was like really rainy or wet. In Kennedy Meadows, I picked up these RAB vapor barrier socks. And the idea with these, they're not waterproof, but they kind of keep heat in. So I used these in the Sierra when I knew I was going to be walking through a lot of snow and it was going to be really cold. Since I was wearing trail runners and they're not really like waterproof or made to keep your feet warm, this is the extra layer I use to keep my feet warm. And to use these, you actually have to use 2 layers of socks. So I kind of switched up my sock system for when I use these. First, you need a liner pair of socks. So again, I used Injinji's, their liner socks. You put on the liners, then you put on the vapor barrier, and then on top of that, you need to put another sock. And then you put on your shoe. So it's like a 3-layer system. But I found it worked really well. Like my feet stayed so much warmer when I was wearing these as opposed to when I wasn't wearing these. However, yeah, they're not waterproof, so if you do a creek crossing, you should probably want to take them off. So I used those in the Sierra. Once we got to Washington and it was kind of raining all the time, I went back to the 2-layer sock system because it just kept my feet drier and warmer even though they were still really wet. But I felt like there was less friction, less chance of getting blisters with the 2-sock system as well. In the Sierra, I carried a couple liner socks and then a couple over socks so I could switch them out, and I always had 1 pair that was dry for the day. Then the whole time I carried a pair of sleep socks. These are Possum Merino that I got in New Zealand, and they were just really warm and cozy. I never wore these hiking, so they were always relatively clean, and I knew they were always going to be dry, and just at the end of the day they were so cozy and warm to put on. I really liked having these. Some people choose to bring camp shoes. Before I went, I thought, no, I don't want to bring those. I don't need the extra weight. And then we got to Kernville, so that's at Walker Pass. I was at a gas station and I saw these babies. They're super lightweight flip-flops. They're like, I don't know, I would say like they're similar to the feel of Crocs. Like that's the kind of material that they're made from, so they feel really lightweight. And they were $6. I never really felt like I needed camp shoes in the desert. It just didn't seem necessary. But a friend was telling me, oh, in the Sierra, when your feet are wet all day and you want to get to camp and you want to take off your shoes and try and let your shoes dry, it's nice to have something else to put on. And also like to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I didn't want to have to put on wet shoes if they were still wet, or maybe sometimes your shoes get frozen overnight. I ended up carrying these for the whole rest of the trail because I ended up just really liking them. And again, in Washington when it was rainy all the time and my shoes were wet all the time again, these were just nice to have to change into at the end of the day. And then also when I got to town, just to wear shoes around town that weren't my trail shoes was nice. Overall, I liked having the camp shoes. I know a lot of people are against them because it's extra weight, but I liked having the shoes. And then for hands, so I started the trail with a pair of Possum Merino gloves that were really warm and cozy, and I liked them a lot. Unfortunately, I lost them somewhere along the way, and I don't even know where I lost them. I lost them somewhere in the desert before Kennedy Meadows. In Kennedy Meadows, I ended up picking up these gloves from 2 Foot Adventures, and they were supposed to be waterproof. They're definitely not waterproof. Or maybe water resistant. These gloves, they were $30. I do not recommend them. They were not great. I'm not even going to try and tell you what they are. Oh, maybe so you don't buy them. They are Sirius, the brand. Oh, and they say they're supposed to be windproof and weatherproof, so whatever that means. I mean, I guess it was good in the snow and like to carry an ice axe, but they didn't work. Like they didn't keep my fingers warm. They didn't do the job that I most wanted them for. So my hands were still always really cold even when I wore those. My hands get cold easily though. I did bring some hand warmers. I didn't use these too much. I also had toe warmers. I got these in Kennedy Meadows because they, at Triple Kern Outfitters, they're like, you need these. I don't think I used them at all in the Sierra, and I didn't use them until Washington. I had sent them away and then I got them back for Washington, but in Washington it was actually really cold by the end, and we were walking through snow, new snow. So the toe warmers came in handy. If you are someone who's prone to getting really cold hands or feet, then these are good to just warm you up pretty instantly. So in Washington, again, it was really cold and rainy. These gloves were pretty much horrible for that because they just soaked up all the water. And I ordered on Amazon these little fingerless gloves. They were pretty good. They're merino, so I thought they would be nice and warm. And then because you need to use your phone so much to like a gut hook and stuff, like I liked that they were just fingerless. So I had this for warmth, and then the next layer is the real kicker. Got these puppies, these nice kitchen gloves. When it was rainy and I wanted warm hands, I'd put on the merino layer and then the kitchen gloves, and that kept my hand dry and warm. They do make specific rain mittens or like waterproof rain gloves and stuff, but from what I heard from other people is that they don't really end up staying waterproof. When you're walking through the rain all day, every day, almost nothing stays waterproof except for something that's like made out of material that doesn't absorb water at all. These actually did come in handy. I would find that actually my hands got too hot usually with this, but it was a good system. I would recommend that again if you're going to be walking through a lot of rain. Hopefully you won't be. For the Sierra, I also use micro spikes on my shoes. So, well, that's for walking through snow. Oh, I use them a little bit in Southern California too, like for San Jacinto and Baden-Powell. And then got rid of them and got them back for the Sierra. But they're just like these little chain thingies with spikes on them, and you just put it on your shoe and gives you a lot more traction for the snow. So I found these did the job. These are the Catula brand. However, just before Sonora Pass, one of mine broke. So I just like the rubber just came apart. And then Nick found another one for me in the hiker box, so I have to again. Some people I knew did use crampons, which they give you a lot more grip in the snow, but like they're not as versatile. Like, you probably have to take them on and off more often because you don't really want to walk in those at all on just like non-snow. And these you can kind of get away with, like if there's a snowy patch and then a non-snowy patch and then a snowy patch, you can kind of get away with wearing these, even though you probably still shouldn't because you'll wear down the spikes. But anyway, you'll figure that out over time. So that's everything that I wore on my hands and my feet. I hope that helped, and if you like this video, then subscribe and give it a like, and if you have more questions, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Alright, happy hiking! Bye!